My phone vibrated again, and I didn't have to look to know who it was. Sister, did you miss me today? When you click on it, it's a voice slimy, with a deliberately prolonged tail, and the sugar is exceeding. This was followed by a transfer of 520 and 30 and 14. The corners of my mouth grinned to the roots of my ears and replied, I love your baby, but you keep the money for yourself, don't always pass it on to me. It's just for flowers for my sister. P. When we meet, I will take my sister to buy bags and beautiful clothes. Too good, too good. Even my best friend, NEA, said that I was lucky to be shit. Where did I find such a brother-in-law? Milky and well-behaved, spending money without blinking. Every day my sister is long and my sister is short, and I can't wait to use the speaker to announce how much he likes me. Indeed, chatting with him, I feel like I am 5 years younger. Every day in the honeypot, as soon as the phone rings, pink bubbles appear in my heart. It's so good. I love it. Through the screen, I can imagine what he looks like. It must be a big boy wearing a white shirt and a clean smile. We made an appointment to show up next Monday. I even practiced what clothes and makeup I wore in my head many times, and I haven't felt this kind of expectation and nervousness for a long time. Sister, my reality may be different from the internet. Don't be afraid if you see it. I'm still me. And whatever my sister likes, I can change it for you. My brother is obviously much more nervous than me, so I am not so nervous. The day before Benzion, NEA called me to go to her house for dinner. She said that her parents missed me. And by the way, she also gave me a chance to relax. She lowered her voice and said, I almost forgot to remind you. My cousin of the Demon King of the Mixed World came to my house to live on vacation in his freshman year. I asked her while picking up my clothes, what's wrong? You don't know his family is powerful. My parents spoiled him like eyeballs, lawless with white hair and a lip nail, to like dragging to million. 580,000 all day long is not an aesthetic that mortals like us can understand at all. I smiled and comforted her. Okay, I'm mentally prepared. It's just a meal, nothing will go wrong, right? Yes. And he doesn't know what's going on recently, and he doesn't play with his precious motorcycle anymore, holding a mobile phone every day for silly fun, just like being possessed by evil. When I arrived at NEA's house, my uncle and aunt were very enthusiastic. The dishes were exquisite and delicious, and the atmosphere was also very good. Halfway through eating, there was a noise in the floor. I subconsciously looked over. A tall figure walked in, walking with long legs, eye-catching silver-white short hair, shiny lit studs, and a black and red motorcycle suit outline a thin and straight figure. With a cold expression, a taut J-line, and a dragon coolness, she is the type who can make a little girl scream and go crazy for it. But for elderly people, like me and NEA, the first reaction is to subconsciously shrink back. NEA kicked me under the table and lips instantly. Look. I nodded approvingly. It's so tidy that I'm going to get rheumatism. Unexpectedly, although this boy looked unruly, he still knew how to be polite. His eyes swept over and nodded at us, as if he had said hello, and his voice was lukewarm. Uncle, aunt, cousin. When he sat down to eat, his demeanor was also surprisingly good, which did not match his outfit at all. The aunt smiled the whole time and kept picking up vegetables for him. Leo, eat more. Are you tired of going out to play racing today? He hummed, his voice low. It's okay. Well, the sound is pretty good, and a little familiar. I shook my head in my heart. Impossible. Much deeper and colder than my little milk dog's voice. The one in my house is a glutinous chirp that can say goodnight sister in 18 bends. After the meal, NEA hurriedly commanded the people to clean up the pool, saying that he wanted to shoot the first set of pool blockbusters this year, and asked me to wait. My aunt was afraid that I would be bored, so she suggested, let's go for a walk in the garden, the lights are on at night. It's very beautiful. I slipped from the good to the garden, and the air was nice at night. I found a bench and sat down, and the first thing I did was take out my phone. The little milk dog has indeed sent a series of messages. Has my sister finished eating? Do you miss me? A dog rubbed. JPG. I'm so bored, sister. Talk to me. My heart softened into a puddle of water, and I hurriedly reply, I just finished eating. I'm staying at my girlfriend's house tonight. Of course, I miss you, he replied in seconds. Hey, sister, I miss you so much. I can't sleep thinking about it. Then another 1314 transfer came over, and the remark was, my late night snack for my sister. I bit my lip and laughed, typing about who is good at eating so many late night snacks, while my heart was bubbling with sweetness. Immersed in this tired atmosphere, my cheeks were a little hot. I got up and strolled slowly along the garden path, tapping my fingers quickly on the screen to share with him interesting stories about tonight. Of course, the part of the hipster cousin was hidden, when by passing a bush of lush rhododendrons, a tall black shadow flashed behind the rockery. I screamed in fright. My feet slipped. My high heels slammed abruptly, and my whole body lost my balance and rushed forward. The expected scene of falling to the ground did not happen. I crashed into the arms of a faint cedar scent in the coolness of the night breeze. I panicked and wanted to stand up, but subconsciously grabbed it. What I touched was hard ABS. TSK. An impatient voice came from overhead. I was embarrassed and panicked, but when I quickly let go of my hand, I bumped into his phone again, and it fell to the ground with a pop after I stood firm. I apologized repeatedly. I'm sorry. I didn't expect there to be people here. Are you okay? The light of the street lamp outlines the other party's beautiful and sharp face, and the eye-catching white hair. It's NEA's cousin, Leo. His brows were furrowed, and his face was undisguised disgust and displeasure from being disturbed. He took a step back extremely quickly, distancing himself from me, as if I were some kind of virus source. His eyes swept over coldly, and his voice was full of mockery and vigilance. Look at the road. I was stunned for a moment, before I could react. He followed up with the next sentence, like a basin of cold water poured head-on. Also, please respect yourself. Don't touch me, it's someone with a girlfriend. There was a buzz in my head, and the blood seemed to rush to the heavenly spirit cover in an instant. Messing around? Dead weight. Does he have a girlfriend? Absurdity and anger exploded in my heart, but the remnants of reason made me swallow this breath back. It's true that I didn't look at the road and bumped into someone, and I was at fault. I suppressed my anger and tried to keep my voice as steady as possible. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to, your phone. I bent down to help him pick up the phone that had fallen in the grass. The screen was facing up and it was still on, showing the WeChat chat world. And my pupil shrank suddenly. That familiar cute cat avatar that I have seen countless times. There are also familiar chat records and notes. Baby sister 3. My fingers are frozen in midair. Time seemed to be frozen at this moment. I squeezed the cold phone and raised my head little by little, looking at the unhappy boy in front of him. His lips reflected a little cold light under the street lamp, which was particularly unruly. The one who acts this lie every day, transfers money, sends voices, is so clingy, and makes an appointment to show up tomorrow. My little milk dog. It's him. My eyes went black. The sky fell. I was lying by the pool, my mind in a state of confusion, and I had to pretend to be indifferent on my face. NEA swam over and poked me in the waist. Bow. What's wrong with you? Do look like you're out of your mind tonight. It's okay, maybe a little tired. I pretended to be calm. She must not let her know that the sweet little milk dog I fell in love with online turned out to be her cousin. If this gets out, I will die socially. I touched the phone placed by the pool, and the moment I unlocked it, the message prompt sound was like an explosion. Good guy. 99 in red news. All from little milk dog. I clicked. The latest ones are, sister, Can you take care of me? Sister, I was wrong. I was really wrong, you reply to me. Just one sentence. Turning up. It is a long self-review, sister, and it hit me in my arms tonight. I didn't mean to have physical contact with others. Sister, you have to believe me. Sister, why don't you reply to my message? Do you think I'm dirty? Sister, I was wrong. I will never let anyone touch me in the future. I swear. Sister, don't want me. I looked at this series of news, and my mood was as complicated as an overturned color palette. Angry, speechless, and soft-hearted. Sisters and sisters on the internet are called happy, but in reality, please respect yourself. Good. Good. Little bastard. There are two faces, online and offline, right? Will let you know today that you know about the sinister nature of society. A thought of mischief and revenge rushed up. I took a deep breath and turned to look at NEA, who was fiddling with the camera and preparing to take a picture of the pool for me. NEA, did you just say that you have that? I particularly spicy, particularly figure showing swimsuit. NEA's eyes lit up instantly. Yes. Some sisters. Wait. I'll bring it to you. After a while. She came back with a small piece of cloth and shook it off like a treasure. I gasped. This is a red bikini with a pitiful amount of fabric, with an extremely bold design that is held together by a few strings. Isn't it too much? I was a little hesitant. What have you done, baby, if you don't wear this? Your body will be violent. I was pushed into the dressing room by her, half pushed in half on the spot, and put on the red bikini, which was a pitifully red bikini with little fabric. The design was very good. Its boldness is maintained by a few strings. Isn't it too much? I was a little hesitant. What have you done, baby? If you don't wear this, your body will be violent. I was pushed into the locker room by her, half pushed in half on, unchanged into the red swimsuit. The self in the mirror makes my cheeks hot. It's sexy. But thinking of the poisonous white-haired boy, I gritted my teeth and walked out. The moment NEA saw me, she whistled loudly, and her eyes straightened. Damn, Bow, I really didn't expect you to be so rich. This chest, this waist, and this leg. I am really wrong to death. Come and let me touch it. She pounced on me, wiped a handful of oil on my chest, and exclaimed, It feels so good. Woo woo woo, cheap tomorrow, stinky boy. I laughed twice and didn't answer. If you knew who that stinky boy was, you wouldn't say that. Under NEA's superb photography skills, a set of hot and sexy pool photos were freshly released. Water droplets roll down the skin and slide into the Reverie ravine, and the skin glows white under the light, each full of temptation. I picked one of the sexiest and cut off the head, with a vengeful pleasure. Click on the little milk dog chat box and click send. I don't know what the boy who coldly dragged to the sky just now will have when he sees this photo. I held my phone, my heart beating a little faster, a little excited, looking forward to the prank succeeding. However, as time passed, it kept saying the other person is typing, but no news was sent. Just as I was wondering, NEA's cell phone rang. She pressed the speakerphone. Hello? Mom. What's wrong? We are taking pictures. On the other end of the phone, my aunt's voice was extremely anxious, almost crying. NEA, come down quickly, something big happened. NEA was startled. What's wrong? Mom? Speak slowly. Your brother suddenly had a nosebleed. The flow was so loud that I couldn't stop it, and the tissues were, I'd read, in several packs, which scared me to death. Come and take a look. NEA and I looked at each other, and we both saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. We put on our dressing gowns and hurried downstairs. The downstairs was simply a mess of porridge. The aunt held a tissue box and circled Leo helplessly. Uncle the father tried to take an ice pack and apply it to the back of Leo's neck. There were a few blood-stained tissues scattered on the ground, which did look a bit scary, and the cool brother was leaning on the sofa with his head tilted, with a ball of tissues that had been mostly dyed red stuffed in his nose. His brows furrowed, and he was loveless. Leo's voice was angry, with a thick nasal voice. I'm fine. Leave me alone. The aunt was about to cry. How can it be okay? Shed so much blood. Oh, why is your face so hot? Is it a fever? Laolin, go drive. Let's go to the hospital to take a look. Don't go to the hospital. Leo reacted greatly, sitting up straight suddenly. And with this movement, the nosebleed seemed to have a tendency to surge again. He quickly leaned back again, his voice even more muffled. I'm fine, it's just a little angry. Just drink some cold water. Annie's head flashed with inspiration. Mom, have you been feeding him too much lately? Young people are full of energy, she said suspiciously. Leo, are you looking at something messy? Leo exploded directly. Nonsense. It's not a mess, it's me. He blushed and couldn't speak for a long time, only snorting. The truth. It's my swimsuit photo that caused trouble. The corners of my eyes twitched. My mood was mixed, and I felt guilty and wanted to laugh. No, he was really hungry. And a swimsuit photo almost turned people into blood-spraying warriors. Is this reasonable? After tossing for almost half an hour, the nosebleed finally stopped. His aunt worriedly forced him to drink a large cup of herbal tea before letting him go back to his room. This farce came to an end. NEA also breathed a sigh of relief and pulled me upstairs. Let's go. Let's go, it's okay, rest early. Back in the guest room on the second floor. I walked to the balcony, turned on my phone, and a series of messages popped up again. You don't have to think about it to know who sent it. Sister, I didn't mean not to reply to the message. It was a bit of an emergency just now, so I went to deal with it. Puppy apology. JPG sister Woo Woo is so beautiful. I am so happy. Puppy rolling. JPG. Another long list of 1314 transfers. Sister, you worked hard to take pictures. Buy beautiful clothes for your sister to wear. Puppy wagging tail JPG. I sat on the balcony lounge chair. The night breeze was blowing, but I couldn't dispel the chaos in my heart. After thinking for a long time, I decided to cut through the mess quickly. Let's break up. I suddenly feel like we're not suitable. After clicking send, I immediately blocked him with a guilty conscience. Alas, I really look like a scumbag. Online dating is beautiful, but the reality is too terrifying. He is my best friend's cousin, and the outrageous contrast between him online and offline. How to think about this relationship is unreliable. The world is quiet, but my heart is empty. Suddenly, there was a muffled sound from the next room, as if something had fallen to the ground. Immediately afterwards, a suppressed, intermittent sobbing sound faintly came. My face changed. It was Leo's voice. The balcony is connected. He lives next door to me. The cry became louder and louder. Turning into an undisguised and aggrieved howl. Why divide it as it is? It's okay in the afternoon. I made an appointment to meet tomorrow. My love is dead. Sister, you are so cruel. He cried like a lost child, incoherent, and his voice was full of sadness and confusion about being abandoned. The cry penetrated my ears and beat my conscience. It's so pitiful. After all, I still couldn't hold back and walked over lightly. The door to the balcony next door is also open. I poked my head cautiously. I saw Leo sitting on the floor with his back to me, his head buried in his knees, and his shoulders twitching. That, I spoke hesitantly. He was shocked and turned around in shock. Under the light, his eyes were red. His face still had undried tear stains, and his silver hair seemed to be dark. It looks embarrassed and pitiful, and it completely lacks the energy of dragging it to the sky during the day. Why are you here? He frowned. wiped his face, and tried to maintain his composure, but the heavy nasal voice betrayed him. I heard a voice. Come and see. I was a little embarrassed. Are you okay? It's okay. His tone was stiff with an element of gambling, but he couldn't help but choke up. It's just a breakup. You don't have to worry about it, I sighed, trying to comfort him. Maybe. Hey, if your girlfriend is hurt, is there a problem? She's actually a bad guy. Not worthy of you. I don't know what nonsense I'm talking about. Leo glared at me with red eyes like a cat with its tail stepped on. You are not allowed to speak ill of her. She is the best person in the world. She is not a bad person. She is gentle and cute, and she will send me a message. He paused suddenly. His face turned red all of a sudden, and he stiffened his neck and shouted, Anyway, she is the best. You don't know anything. You snake and scorpion heart. Get away. I was stunned by him, especially the phrase, snake and scorpion heart, and I instantly felt no guilt. And anger rose, and I blurted out, have a snake and scorpion heart? If I had a snake and a scorpion heart, I shouldn't break up, I should play with you like a dog. As soon as the words were spoken, the whole room fell silent instantly. Leo looked at me blankly, as if he didn't understand the meaning of this sentence. I reacted and wished I could bite my tongue. Before he could react, he turned around and wanted to run back to the room. But the movement was too fast, and the strap of the dressing gown was loosely tied again, and the moment he turned around, the strap hooked on the handle of the balcony door. Oh no! The dressing gown fell to the ground and piled up at my feet without warning, revealed the extremely familiar and sexy red bikini below. Time seems to have stopped. I froze in place, my mind blank. Leo's gaze slowly moved down from my face and landed on my body, on the swimsuit. His eyes instantly widened, and his mouth opened slightly, enough to stuff an egg. The expression on his face ranged from shock, to dazedness, to disbelief, to sudden realization, and finally froze into the ultimate horror and absurdity. He trembled and pointed at me. His voice seemed to be squeezed out of his throat, and the pitch was changed violently. Yes. Is it you? Fell off the horse. The society is dead. Done. Egg. Over. While he was still dead, I picked up my dressing gown and rushed back to my room with a whoosh, slammed the balcony door shut, and even locked it with a trembling hand. My back was clinging to the cold door panel, and I could hear my heart beating wildly. Dung dung dung. It's about to jump out of my throat. The balcony next door is dead silent. After a long time, an extremely faint voice full of doubts about life came. Pam. This night, I had insomnia. The next morning, I went downstairs for breakfast with two dark circles under my eyes. In the restaurant, my uncle and aunt and NEI were already there. What made my scalp tingle was that Leo was actually there. Didn't NEA say that he usually slept until the sun rose 3 poles? Leo lowered his head and mechanically stirred the porridge in the bowl with a spoon, and his dazzling silver white hair seemed to hang down. Hearing my downstairs, he suddenly raised his head to look over. The eye sockets were indeed red and swollen, like rabbits. When he saw me, his eyes instantly became extremely complicated, full of embarrassment, grievances, and a hint of imperceptibility. Fluster. He quickly lowered his head, but his ears quietly turned red. I sat down calmly and greeted my uncle and aunt, but I could feel that Leo's eyes always glanced at me secretly and quickly when others were not paying attention, and immediately dodged me. NEA looked at me and then glanced at her abnormal cousin, suddenly burst into laughter. What's going on with you two today? One dark circle is about to fall to the chin, and the other eye is swollen like a walnut. I don't know and thought you'd have fell out of love together last night. I almost squirted out a mouthful of milk. Leo stiffened suddenly, and the resentment on his body became even heavier. NEA didn't notice the surging undercurrent between me and Leo at all, and hugged my shoulders very loyally. It's okay, that kind of scumbag is not worth it. I'll take you to relax later. As soon as she finished speaking, Leo suddenly said coldly, I'll go too. We were all stunned. He turned his head away from me. His voice was stiff, but resolute. I said, "I want to go too." The driver was a kind middle-aged uncle who saw the three of us laughing badly, then leaned on the back of the chair with an expression of, "Just sit here." The driver was a kind middle-aged uncle, and he nodded with a smile when he saw the three of us. Leo opened the rear door almost immediately and took the lead in getting in. I shook my head and said it was okay. Then A went to take the co-pilot, and A put her hands on her hips and glared at him angrily. "Leo, do you know how to be polite? Go and sit in front." "I'm not feeling well." He turned his head and looked out the window, his voice muffled. "Just sit in the back." "You." Annie A was so angry that she wanted to drag him out, but seeing that he really didn't have any energy, she finally compromised. Okay, young master, you are the biggest." She glanced at me, embarrassed lie. "Maya Maya, I can't sit with you anymore." However, when I opened the car door and looked at the silver-haired boy in the back seat who was obviously awkward, I still felt very tricky. By the bulletin sit-in, deliberately sticking to the door on the other side, and widening the distance from him as much as possible. The scenery outside the car window began to move. NEA played soothing music. Leo inadvertently glanced at the chasm between us. The jawline seemed to be tense for a moment, and then the air pressure around the whole person dropped at a speed visible to the naked eye. He turned his head and stared out the window even harder, leaving me with only a cold back of his head. I tilted my head to look at the street scene passing by the window, and my sleepiness was hooked, and my eyelids gradually became heavy. A gentle melody flowed in the carriage, but it couldn't dissolve the silence and embarrassment between Leo and me. A slender and warm hand gently hooked my finger carefully and with a little tentativeness. In a daze, I felt a warmth on the back of my hand. I subconsciously wanted to withdraw my hand, but he instantly tightened, his fingertips trembling slightly, but he stubbornly wrapped around me, did not allow me to escape. I suddenly woke up and lowered my head. It was Leo's hand. He seemed nervous, and his warm palms had a hint of tide. I turned my head to look at him in surprise. That look is very much like a puppy who has finally found its owner after being abandoned, but is afraid of being pushed away again. His gaze fell straight on our overlapping hands. The tip of my heart seemed to be pinched, sour and astringent, and a little soft, stubborn and sad, but also with a bit of desperate courage. He stiffened suddenly, as if he had been hit by a faint electric current. In the next second, his cheeks were covered with a layer of blush at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even his neck was dyed light red. The strength of the struggle was unconsciously removed. I scratched his warm palm very lightly. He gently leaned into my ear, his warm breath brushing against my auriculus. The voice was soft with obvious flattery and grievances, and called out in a low voice, "Sister." He seemed to have some kind of acquiescence, and little by little, he carefully moved towards me. The seat made a slight rubbing sound, and a faint, refreshing breath gradually enveloped him. My heart was leaking and my ears were a little hot. I forced myself to turn my head calmly, pretending to look at the scenery flying by outside the window, and ignored him. It is exactly the same as the voice on the internet, very soft, and at this moment, with this handsome face at hand, the lethality has increased geometrically. Sister, he refused to give up, and when he saw that I didn't explicitly refuse, he had to get closer and closer. The sound is softer and softer like melted maltose, sweet and haunting. I finally couldn't help it. Turned my head and glared at him to calm him down. It's annoying. Not only is it unrestrained, but it is even bolder. And his fingers slide flexibly into my fingers, firmly interlocking with my fingers. But when he saw me looking at him, his eyes lit up instantly. I blinked and said silently, "It's not my sister. It's my aunt." Leo's eyes began to turn slightly red again, biting his lower lip. Voice, there was a hint of nasal. "Sister." I was wrong. My mouth is cheap. If you are angry, hit me and scold me. You can punish me no matter how you want me. Don't break up, okay? Leo's eyes lit up. He seemed to see hope, and he opened his mouth and wanted to say something more. It looks really pitiful. I subconsciously softened my voice with a hint of anger that I didn't even notice. Little cry baby. He didn't say forgive him, but he didn't shake off his hand either. NEA frowned and looked at Leo, who was almost attached to me, and said in a dissatisfied tone, the position is so big. Why do you always squeeze Zoe? Don't know if you're big. Sit down. Leo, NEA, who was in the front seat, finally noticed something was wrong in the back seat and turned around suddenly. Did I see that sentence? I didn't know I was big? I just want to laugh. Leo's body stiffened, like a child who was caught doing bad things, and moved back to his position very reluctantly. The car finally stopped outside the door of a stylishly decorated King bar, but those eyes still seemed to be glued to me, nostalgic and aggrieved, as if they were reluctant to look at it for a second. My cheeks were hot from his look, so I simply closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. She smiled and leaned into my ear, lowering her voice. How is it, these 3 boys? See if you like them. They are all my friends. She smiled and leaned into my ear, lowering her voice. How is it? See if you like these 3 boys. They are all my friends, and their character is okay. Listen to me. The best medicine for a broken love is a new love. This is what NEA calls relaxation. Push open the revolving door into the soothing jazz music and faint aroma of wine come to your face. There were already 5 people sitting in the booth, 3 men and 2 women, waving at us with a smile. I was stunned for a moment and looked at NEA. His face sank instantly, so black that he could almost drip water. NEA pulled me over to introduce. I suddenly felt something was wrong, and before I could react, I felt that the sight behind me was almost poking to holes in my back. You don't have to look back to know that it is Leo. The 3 boys are called Yishu, Chuhao, and Liu Yu, and the 2 girls are Qinjia and Fangyi. They were all very friendly, and when we exchanged pleasantries, Yishu took the lead in smiling and stretched out his hand to me. So, right? I often hear NEA mention you, and I am very happy to meet you. I was about to reach out, but a well-boned hand stretched out from behind me faster and grabbed Yishu's hand. Leo. He spat out his name in a hard voice. Yishu's smile froze for a moment, and he replied awkwardly with hello. Leo concocted a greeting of the other 2 boys who intended to shake hands. NEA rolled her eyes in anger on the side, and said to Leo with her lips, Are you sick? The scene was very embarrassing for a while, and the 3 boys looked at each other. Leo lifted his eyelids. Oh, what's wrong? I'd just like to meet new friends. Can't I? NEA? Why don't you look in the mirror? Your face stinks to death. How can you want to know others at all? NEA glared at him several times when I sat down. NEA sat on her left. Leo sat down next to me to my right without hesitation, completely isolating me from the rest of the people. Leo sat down next to me to my right without hesitation, completely isolating me from the rest of the people. To liven up the atmosphere, everyone proposes to play truth or dare. It's really a game that brings relationships closer quickly. The first 2 rounds were quite peaceful, and the people who clicked either told the truth harmlessly or did some funny little adventures. In the 3rd round, the mouth of the bottle turned slowly a few times, impartially, and aimed directly at Leo. Honestly, he had no hesitation. Fangyi seemed to be very interested in him, and asked in a low voice with a little shyness, Leo, what type of girl do you like? Everyone looked at him curiously. I quietly squeezed my hand. Leo's eyelashes drooped and he seemed to say casually, I like it. He is 5 years older than me with long curly hair, very white skin, peach blossom eyes. Very beautiful. Such a clear description of appearance. You must have a sweetheart for a long time, right? It turns out that you like the sister type, brother. Chenjia whispered doubts, huh? What do I think of this description? A bit like Sister Zoe. But her voice was too small, covered by everyone's cheers, and no one heard what she said. Fangyi's face clearly flashed with a hint of disappointment. I picked up my glass and took a sip, hiding my panicked eyes. After playing a few more rounds, the atmosphere became more and more warm. I immediately became excited and encouraged. Honestly, it's so boring. If you want to play, just play big. Choose a big adventure. This time the turning wine bottle seemed to be guided by fate, and the mouth of the bottle trembled majestically, and finally stopped in front of me accurately. Zoe, it's your turn. I had a hard time writing a tiger, so I had to draw one from the big adventure card. When I opened it, the words on it made my pupils tremble instantly. Kiss the person sitting to your right for a minute. The person on my right is Leo. I subconsciously looked at him. Nia was even more shocked than me. She stood up suddenly. No. This game doesn't count. Change it. Leo obviously saw the contents of the card. His hand holding the wine glass paused in midair, and the tips of his ears turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Hiju also hurriedly rounded the scene. Yes, this is really not suitable. Leo is still young, and the game must have a degree. She realized that the hole she dug might have buried her best friend and her cousin. The box instantly fell silent, and everyone's eyes were on me and Leo. Leo suddenly spoke. Why doesn't it count? Since you are here to play. You have to afford to play. I took a deep breath, as if I had made up my mind, turned around and looked at Leo. The arrow is on the string. He swallowed nervously. His Adam's apple rolled, his eyes surprisingly bright, and he wrote about nervousness, anticipation, and unconcealable excitement. People around began to count down excitedly. My lips touched his. He waited obediently. I frowned slightly subconsciously. His lips are very soft. His lips are full, and he is very friendly. But the next second, I was stunned by a cold, hard object, which was his lip nail. His warm palm held my face, and with an irresistible tenderness and eagerness, he kissed me again, for fear of wasting a second. It was this subtle expression that was captured by Leo, who was watching me closely. Without hesitation, he tore off the small lip stud and threw it away. Obviously, I liked the jeweler very much before, but because I almost hurt me, he disliked me to the extreme. A minute has never been so long and so short. At the end, I was embarrassed to look at anyone. She opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something, but in the end she just rubbed the corner of her forehead and muttered, I must be thinking too much. Leo is not a faint dish at all. Leo's ears were red and his lips were moist, but his eyes were still shining and following me, with undisguised satisfaction and joy inside. Nia looked at us, her eyes full of shock and suspicion. When the game ended, Nia was already a little confused. What? She muttered. It's all my fault for Leo, this stinky boy, for not finding a new love. As everyone knows, the protagonist she complained about was carrying her with a disgusted face. Hearing this, he almost threw her out. I glared at Leo, and he obediently carried the person well. Everything that happened tonight played repeatedly in my head like a movie shot, especially the kiss with a hot smell. Putting Nia in the car, I was still not at ease, afraid that Nia would be uncomfortable on the road. So I also sat in the car and went back to the family's house. After sending Nia back to the room to settle down, I was also dazed by the dual effects of alcohol and exhaustion, and thoughtfully prepared the sobering soup. Zoe, it's so late, and I'm drunk again, so don't toss back. Stay here for one more night. I looked at the thick night outside the window and nodded. After washing, I lay on the soft bed, but I tossed and turned, not sleepy. At this moment, there was a rustling sound from the balcony. After a while, someone was gently knocking on the balcony door. It's Leo. There was silence outside the door for a moment, and then a low-pitched voice with full grievances and flattery floated in. Sister, I know you didn't sleep. Can you open the door? I didn't move, pretending to be asleep. He seemed to press his forehead against the door. His voice became even more mournful, and he sniffed. It's so cold outside. The wind is also very strong. Sister, please, open the door for me. Just in a moment. I want to see you. I didn't respond. He begged cautiously, constantly tapping on my defenses. Think of him standing in the night breeze in thin pajamas. I was defeated in the end. Sister. Resignedly, he lifted the quilt, walked to the balcony door, hesitated for a moment, and unbuttoned the lock. As soon as the door opened a gap, he immediately squeezed in. In the next second, my whole body was embraced into a cool embrace. He buried his face deep in my neck, breathing greedily, and his arms were tightly clasped, as if he was going to rub me into his bones and blood. Before I could say anything, I suddenly felt a light feeling in my body. He actually hugged me horizontally. Near you. I let out a low cry and subconsciously put my arms around his neck. He didn't answer. He hugged me, like an agile and food-protecting leopard. In 2 or 3 clicks, he walked through the corridor and slipped into his room. Only a dim bedside lamp was on in the room, outlining his slightly top-side face and dazzling silver hair. He gently placed me on his bed, then quickly turned around and locked the door with a click. After doing all this, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, as if he was afraid that I would run away. He walked back step by step. Immediately afterwards, there was a plop. A tall man who is almost 1.9 meters tall is very oppressive even when he kneels. But he carefully rubbed his cheek against my leg and said a little aggrieved lie. Sister, don't torture me like this anymore. He knelt down straight in front of me. Before I could react, he had already stretched out his arms and hugged my legs tightly. A tall man who is almost 1.9 meters tall is very oppressive even when he kneels. But he carefully rubbed his cheek against my lap and said a little aggrieved lie. Sister, don't torture me like this anymore, okay? I can't stand it anymore. If you ignore me, I'm going crazy. He knelt down straight in front of me. Before I could react, he had already stretched out his arms and hugged my legs tightly. He raised his face, and his beautiful eyes overflowed with grievances. And you kissed me tonight. You took the initiative to kiss me. You can't kiss and not admit it. Sister, can you give me a title, okay? Don't worry me anymore, please. This little bastard carried people to his room in the middle of the night. And now, he looked pitiful and helpless. My original complicated emotions suddenly disappeared, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud, like a big dog wagging its tail and begging for pity. I stretched out my bare toes and gently tapped his strong chest. Leo was stunned. He looked at me reverently, as if waiting for my verdict on him. He instantly fell backwards as if all his bones had been pulled out, and his body fell softly with my strength. He lay on the carpet, and there was a hum in his throat that resembled a whimper, like a fish lying on the display board for me to slaughter. My toes brushed over his tight and beautiful abs under his pajamas, feeling his slight trembling. He gently clasped my feet, his eyes became blurred and longing, and he kept calling out to his sister. Sister. In that way, it looks like a puppy that is gently stepped on by its owner's abdomen with its feet, excited but not daring to make mistakes, and can only whining to express its desire and surrender. Poor and hooked, I couldn't help but slide off the edge of the bed and straddle his waist. An inexplicable heat suddenly rose from my lower abdomen. I leaned down and gently tapped his violently rolling Adam's apple with my fingers. I lowered my voice with a hint of warning. Wait a minute. Maul. His body stiffened suddenly, and his breathing instantly became heavy. The sun shines through the gaps in the curtains and falls mischievously on the eyelids. Looking down, a silver-white hairy head rested peacefully on my chest. I woke up in a daze, and the first feeling was a heavy feeling in my chest, as if I was being pressed down by something. I frowned slightly. My heart was funny and angry. This kid, hasn't he been weaned? He slept soundly, breathing evenly and warmly, and his arms wore an domineering lie wrapped around my waist. As if sensing my movement, Leo rubbed unconsciously and let out a satisfied sigh. I reached out and drugged his soft silver hair. Go dye your hair black these past 2 days. I looked at his iconic silvery white hair that almost glowed in the morning light, and suddenly spoke, Leo. He confused said, Huh? With a sound, he raised his head, his eyes still carrying the sadness and well-behaved after being satisfied. Although this white hair and his face are as handsome as a beautiful boy coming out of a comet, but after saying that, he rubbed my neck with satisfaction. I am taking the mature route. If I walk with him, the return rate will definitely explode, and I don't want to be talked about behind my back. Leo obediently replied. Okay, listen to my sister. Annie rubbed her temples. Obviously last night's drunkenness had not completely passed. In the restaurant, everyone sat around for breakfast. She looked at me and Leo, and remembered last night, and glared at Leo. It's all your fault. I originally took Zoe out to hunt for beauty, and let you stir it all up. Forget it. I'll find someone else to form a game today. Leo was peeling eggs for me slowly, and when he heard this, he snorted coldly, and an extremely arrogant and smug smile appeared on his face, attracted everyone's attention. He stopped moving in his hand and then held my hand tightly under the dining table. Immediately afterwards, he directly raised our intertwined hands together and put them on the dining table. Annie's eyes widened and her mouth opened into a shape. The dining table instantly fell into a dead silence. His eyes swept back and forth between our clasped hands and Leo's smug face, as if the CPU had been burned dry. Annie looked at her unusually calm parents and was completely stunned. No. Mom and Dad, what's going on with you? Why aren't you surprised? Did you already know about it? Leo raised his chin, like a little lion who could finally declare sovereignty. His voice was loud and clear. Cousin, don't be busy. Introduce someone else. I am the vague online dating partner. We are fine. And we will get married in the future. Annie was stunned for 5 seconds before suddenly bursting out. What? You damn? Leo, you, mighty, when did this happen? You actually, however, in addition to Annie's shouting, the other 2 elders at the table, uncle and aunt, behaved unusually calmly. My uncle just raised his eyelids from behind the newspaper, said Harem, calmly, and then continued to read his newspaper. The aunt elegantly picked up the teacup, blew on it gently, took a sip, and had a smile on her face. The aunt put down the teacup, looked at her daughter with a caring look, and smiled gently. Silly boy, since I was a child, I have known that you are a bit sluggish in this regard, your father and I, since breakfast yesterday morning. Leo looked at Zoe's saddened, aggrieved appearance, as if he had been abandoned, and guessed that he was inseparable. I smiled and wanted to hide, but Leo reacted faster and held me firmly in his arms. Annie suffered a second impact. She turned her head to look at me mournfully, and the next second she pounced on me with her Ethan claws. Zoe, you guy who values color over friends, you actually hid from me so hard. And I was kept in the dark as a fool, see if I didn't clean you up. If you have something to do with me, don't touch my sister. He used his back to catch Annie's anger. I poked my head out of Leo's arms. Looked at Annie, who was jumping with anger with an unstoppable smile on her face, and begged for mercy repeatedly. I'm sorry, Annie. It's my fault. I don't dare anymore. The sun shone on the restaurant, and the crisp bird song came from outside the window, mixed with Annie's chasing Leo's beatings and scolding and the laughter of her uncle and aunt, intertwining into the most lively and happiest movement of this morning.